Well, I thought we could tease a little bit. We don't have any exclusive information. We don't know anything other than what you guys know. But 1 hour ago, Francesca Fiorentini, via her Bituation Room YouTube channel, which we have learned and established, totally unaffiliated with TYT, 100% her own project. Good for her. We love to see that on the left, independents that are free of Cenk's grubby little fingers. Now, it looks like she's branching out. One of the things that I believe Gavin said for the first time on our podcast was that if Cenk's not careful, if TYT's not careful, Zeteo is going to be able to eat their lunch. They're going to be able to do what Cenk used to do, which was combining really good investigative reporting with really good personalities. They've now reached out to Wajahat Ali, who you guys might recognize from appearances on the Piers Morgan broadcast, and Francesca Fiorentini, where they're going to cover the chaos of Trump's first 100 days in office. Pretty crazy. She says, tonight, two pundits who would never go to Mar-a-Lago, Wajahat Ali and I, premiere our new show, America Unhinged, for Zeteo News every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. Do not miss, do not ring kiss. So shout out to Francesca. I'm hoping that this means she's leaving TYT. We don't have any information that would lead us to believe that, but I saw this and I was like, holy shit, Gavin, do you think she's leaving TYT?
I think it's definitely possible. The only thing that gives me pause is that this show, America Unhinged, just says covering the chaos of Trump's first 100 days. So I'm like, is the show just going to end after 100 episodes? Is that what's going on here? Or after the first 100 days? Maybe if the show is doing really well, it will be renewed and they'll continue to do it. But maybe if it's not doing so well, they'll use that as an excuse to gracefully end the show. Up, 100 days is up, back to our old jobs. Who knows, right? So I think that's the only thing that kind of gives me pause. If this was just a permanent thing, I'd be like, yeah, probably leaving TYT, but it does seem like it could be temporary, maybe just like a limited series sort of a podcast, an exclusive limited series kind of a thing. Who knows? But a lot of people pointed out, Zach, in that discussion we reacted to with Mondale on the Bituation Room from a week or so ago. They said, Francesca, it almost seemed like she was trying to get fired. It almost seemed like she was daring Cenk to fire her. Like, I'm going to keep talking shit. I'm going to keep criticizing you. I'm going to have on people like Mondale, who used to work for you, to keep talking shit. Again, even though Bituation Room is not owned by TYT, it is, I think, part of their podcasting network. They help her out with some of the podcast hosting stuff. So, she's still kind of on their turf. She sort of has a toe on their turf when she's doing that show and having on people like Mondale to continue that conversation. And as she's talked about, she's been invited on the main Young Turks show less and less. So seems like it's kind of a slow motion exit that we're witnessing. And eventually, I think specifically if the show does well, she'll just make it official and rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, I totally agree that they're phrasing it as the 100 days just as a temp check, right? I imagine that since Zeteo is a, blossoming new news organization, they don't want to commit to anything long-term that's going to sink them, right? If they pitch the show and it does really well, of course, they'll keep running it, right? Of course, you're going to keep Wajahat and Francesca if they're both really intelligent, really good broadcasters. Hopefully the audience that they're looking for finds them and they connect quickly, because it's kind of like a pilot for a TV show. You know what I mean? You do the pilot. If the pilot's really good, it has to connect with people, develop an audience for the first season, or it gets canceled. So I'm hoping that this is kind of a snowball effect for Zeteo. They're acquiring a lot of talent. I know they have the Cat Abu TikToker. I know they have a few other people that they've been regularly collaborating with. I've seen Francesca actually on Zeteo a lot recently, which makes me feel like there is hope that down the line maybe she'll get poached from TYT over there. But yeah, just something to consider, something to look at. We'll continue to keep an eye on it over here at the Vanguard.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously in that announcement, even she was clearly making taking some shots at Cenk and Anna with the whole language of, we're not going to kiss the ring, we would never go to Mar-a-Lago, we're not going to sell out, et cetera, which is good. I mean, that's the kind of necessary energy we need as we go into the first 100 days of the Trump administration. So I'm excited for the show. I'm a fan of both these commentators, both great voices on the left. So good stuff. I'm excited to see Zeteo grow. I hope that they continue to succeed and produce awesome content with collaborators such as Francesca, who obviously does great work. We'd love to chat with us about her on the show too at some point, if she'd ever like to come on, because, one thing we make sure to do is promote and encourage people to check out the voices we've shared who have criticized the Young Turks, even from within the belly of the beast. People like Francesca, who technically still work for Cenk, but have not been quiet and have not been reserved in their criticism of him.
Yeah, I think Francesca has been a cut above the rest. I think she's really taken it personally, and I think she's really been resolute in the fact that if she is going to stay at that network, she is going to do her show with her whole chest and say whatever the fuck she thinks about anybody, regardless of the consequences. And if, she's disappointed in the pivots that the network's taking, she's going to share that. One thing I also wanted to ask you about, Gavin, you've been watching the Young Turks for a long time, right? You are our YouTube anthologist of the show. And one of the things we kind of touched on yesterday was the fact that it was very strange that they hadn't tweeted or done a live show or done any kind of show for the inauguration of Donald Trump. I kind of, at that point, was assuming, oh, hey, it's no big deal. They're going to be on at 7 o'clock or whatever, and they're going to just recap everything that happened. Maybe Cenk and Anna were both busy doing their own things. They wanted to really have time to digest Donald Trump's inaugural speech, all that jazz. Can't blame them. Everybody has their own priorities. But then I saw this later on in the evening, and it just said, no live show today. We'll be back tomorrow. Leave a comment. How are you celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy today? And then they posted again, we're off the air today and want to highlight the host of The Damage Report, John Iadarola. Get to know him and check out his show. And then it says, John loves board games. He and his wife have kept a years-long scoreboard of who's winning the epic battle over the course of their relationship. And that's all fine and dandy, but I'm like, what the fuck? Do you not have anything to say about these executive orders? Do you not have anything to say about the extremely fascist inauguration speech? Do you not have a note or a single bit of commentary to provide your audience? And I saw a lot of comments, kind of going after Cenk on various videos that they had uploaded, saying things like, let's see, I wonder if I find it up top here. Why is there no show? John, blink twice if you're being held against your will. I can't believe you guys would take inauguration day off. Get the holiday, but not great move in my opinion. Another person was like, had a bunch of uploads, and it was like, damn, they really just collecting checks now. No show on inauguration day. It's crazy.
No, it's totally crazy, and not a peep from either of them on social media. A lot has transpired over the last couple of days. You'd think specifically Cenk Uygur would have something to say about it. He kind of broke his silence on Twitter with a real mealy-mouthed non-take here. I hate when people say shit like this because, again, it'd be one thing if he'd already put forth his opinion, but this is the first he's said about anything over the last couple of days, and it's real mealy-mouthed. Like I said, if you're pissed all the January 6th defendants have been pardoned, then you should be furious with Merrick Garland. He charged the average guys, but left organizers of the plan, including Trump, free for 2.5 years. He either waited for political reasons or wanted to protect the elites. And it's like, I don't even disagree with that. But bro, like that's your statement. Where's your anger? Where's your, righteous frustration with the undemocratic authoritarian bullshit we've already seen from Donald Trump less than freaking 48 hours into his administration? Where's your outrage over Elon Musk's Sig Heiling doing a literal Nazi salute? Oh, wait, 2 weeks ago, you said that Donald Trump wasn't a Nazi and that it was unhelpful to call his movement Nazi-esque. So maybe that explains the silence. Do you think they're internally trying to deal with the awkwardness of having to come out here and kind of walk that line? Again, Cenk probably in his heart of hearts wants to come out here and call these people fascists and call them Nazis and excoriate them. But the direction they've tried to take the network in such a failed way over the last month or so has kind of made that impossible. It's made it very awkward because Cenk could very easily sacrifice all the goodwill he's built up with MAGA. He could just throw a match on it, torch it in an instant if he really brings out the claws. Do you think that's what's going on?
Well, I think he kind of realizes he had the opportunity to take a ginormous victory lap if he had, stood by his principles, but he didn't. He folded like a house of cards, Gavin. Instead of saying, I was the one that knew these guys were fascists, I was the one that knew these guys were neo-Nazis, I already knew about Elon Musk's grandfather and how he was connected to the Nazi party and he moved to fucking South Africa to support apartheid. Okay, this is the kind of people that Elon Musk comes from. Cenk knows that because he's covered Elon for so long, but he decided to do this pivot where he was like, I never called them fascists. I never called them Nazis. I wouldn't do that. We need to break bread with these folks. So how the hell is he now, after doing a 180 immediately after Election Day, and then what? Now he's just going to completely pivot again back to where he was. He can't do it. It would be humiliating. It would be the final nail in the coffin at the Young Turks. So what are they left with, guys? Radio silence. It's what you do when you're guilty of a crime. What do they tell you to do when you've been accused of something and you actually did it? Shut your fucking mouth, because everything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. And guess what? We're here to prosecute over at Vanguard Justice Hour, okay? And the reality is that they have nowhere to go from here, and they're just going to take the day off, and then they're going to selectively decide what to cover from the inauguration event. They're going to completely ignore the stuff that they don't want to do. And I wouldn't be surprised, Gavin, I think they're shameless enough to do this. I wouldn't be surprised if they try and downplay the Sieg hailing of Elon Musk if they talk about it at all.
Yeah, I also wouldn't be surprised about that. I wouldn't be surprised if they gaslight people and act like some of the stuff isn't as big of a deal as it actually is. We'll see. And I think there's also a chance, Zach. Who knows? I'm not actually saying I have any evidence to support this, but I do think there's a chance that one of the reasons why they have been off air the last couple days is because they've been partying with MAGA people in DC. There's been all these Trump parties put on by people like Barry Weiss of the Free Press. I don't know if you saw the pictures that went viral from the Free Press gala last night where Conor McGregor was hanging out with Ted Cruz, and it's just a who's who of like the worst fucking people you've ever seen. Total like nightmare blunt rotation on steroids. And there's events like this going off all over DC. I'm sure Charlie Kirk is hosting them. I'm sure all these people with their, organizations and foundations and think tanks and news companies, they're all hosting these galas and these parties, right? Where the elites get to rub elbows. Do you think that Cenk and Anna were invited to one of those?
I would have been more skeptical, Gavin, until I saw what media appearances they decided to do. It was very strange. Instead of doing anything on their own network, Anna goes on Megyn Kelly's show and barely contributes anything. And then she goes on Piers Morgan's show and barely contributes anything. Guys, I pulled a clip that we can get to here in a second just for like 45 seconds. And it's the only contribution Anna makes the entire Piers Morgan episodes. It's very baffling for her to make that choice. And yeah, Gavin, I think there's a real chance that they were schmoozing, that they were having a good time, that they realized there was no upside to going live on Inauguration Day for them. Because, guys, seriously, last night, I was talking to a friend of the show who will remain nameless. And we were like, what the fuck is going on over there? And if you Google TYT inauguration coverage, it would send you shit from 2017. That's what it was showing you. That's how bad it was. They had a long, big inauguration panel. It looked really engaging, actually. I would have clicked. It had like John Iadarola, Cenk, Uygur, Anna Kasperi, and a few other people I didn't know sitting at a panel, right? And it was like Young Turks inauguration coverage. And it had 148,000 views, and it was this long-ass video, right? But it was from 2017. And that's kind of the state of affairs for them. It's crazy. And if we just throw this guy up here, you can see Conor McGregor's there. I saw that the PBD guy was having his kids take pictures with Conor McGregor. I'm like, this guy was just convicted of rape. Why would you let him anywhere near your children? I guess
he's a legend. He's a legend. What can you say? Great men achieve great things. You cannot dredge up their past to take that away from them. I'd let him take a picture with Mike Tyson too. You know what I mean?
Anyway, how much leeway do you guys give other TYT folks like Iadarola or Ewell or Dr. Ritchie for not following Francesca's example and speaking out against Cenk and Anna, effectively doing more harm than good? I tend to try and give these folks a lot of grace. They're the only things that are, good that are left at the Young Turks, particularly John Iadarola building up the damage report, having the entire community that he built over there being owned by Cenk Uyghur's got to be miserable. I don't watch as much Jordan Ewell content or Dr. Rashad Ritchie content. I've had Jordan on the show. We've both have talked to Jordan. Seems like a nice guy. I wish he would call out Cenk more. And I'm not as familiar with the kind of content that Dr. Rashad Ritchie puts out, so I don't really know what his, if he would be the kind of guy that would be interested in getting into the muck like that.
The one thing with Dr. Rashad, obviously, I don't blame any of these people for not going harder, but after Cenk and Anna lied about Ben Dixon and said he only quit because they gave Dr. Richie a show instead of him, I do wish that Dr. Rashad Richie would come out and at least clarify his side of that story and be like, hey, Cenk and Anna are lying, or Ben Dixon is lying. Obviously, I don't think Ben Dixon is lying. I fully and 100% believe what Ben Dixon said on the show when he debunked that outrageous smear. But I still would appreciate Dr. Rashad Richie weighing in. As for Jordan Ewell, I think that Jordan Ewell, I like Jordan Ewell, but I do think he's kind of participated in the whitewashing of what Cenk and Anna are doing. Cenk had a conversation or a debate with him about a few weeks ago, and I think that Jordan did not do a really good job pushing back or actually bringing up receipts, and he kind of just let Cenk get away with gaslighting the audience and bullshitting critics of his maneuver. So, I like Jordan Ewell, been a little bit frustrated with his posture. I think he should probably follow Francesca's example a little bit more, but obviously, everyone's their own person. He can make his own decision. He's his own guy with his own career. And that's kind of how I feel about everyone there. It's like, it's their career, it's their job. I don't know the situation they're in as far as the contract goes with TYT. I don't know if they're relying on this company for their health care. I don't know if they're relying on this company to pay rent or feed their kids or whatever. A job is a job at the end of the day. So, that's how I feel.
Look out the door if you hear an ambulance. The Vanguard will be there.